The chicken chopped up, 1.5 pounds per serving, and everything gets mixed up together for the rest of the recipe. So right here I have 2 cups of rice, just long grain, not instant rice, and I'm gonna put a cup in each one. So that was a cup, the rest goes in there. They both get a can of low-fat, fat-free cream of chicken, whichever you can find. So just pop that right in there. Same with my other one. So that's just gonna go in there. And then each of these gets 1 can full of water. They both get a water. There's still so much left in there. Nobody that's actually eating this counts Weight Watcher points, but my philosophy is if I'm spending points on it, I'm gonna get as much from my points as I can get, right? That even means the last little remnants of cream of chicken soup in the can. Those are empty. Now, so we've got the cream of chicken soup in there, the water, the rice, the chicken breast, and now the seasoning that goes in it, just a French onion soup mix. It calls for Lipton, which is store brand, but I mean, is name brand, but store brand works just fine here. Usually, whenever you see a store brand, they're made by the same manufacturers as the name brands, most of the time. So you're literally just paying like an extra 20, 50 cents to have a different name on the outside of your stuff. That's not worth it for me. Okay, so the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to mix both of these all up. I'm going to put them in a 9x13 pan, spray the pan, cover it with tin foil, and then pop it in the oven for an hour. Oh, and I like to top mine with salt and pepper. So another thing that would be good to add to this is mushrooms. Like my mom used to do that growing up. I don't know how the people that are eating this would feel about mushrooms, so I'm going to omit that today, but just an idea. You could even probably try to add like bell peppers, onions, stuff like that, just to kind of bulk it up and sneak in some vegetables. If I can find a way to sneak in vegetables, I'm 100% about that. I'm not the biggest fan of vegetables straight up, so I like to find ways to hide them. Anyways, gonna get this mixed up, put in the pans. You're gonna see all of that. Just gonna kind of speed this along so that way you don't have to listen to me ramble for another few minutes. Prep sheet right here is to work on the chili cheese spaghetti bake, also by the Skinnyish dish. I'm doing this one next because it's also at 350 degrees. It's got to simmer on the stove for a little bit, and then it's going to go into the oven for 30 minutes. So I'm kind of hoping that if I time this out correctly, the chicken and rice will finish up with the chili cheese spaghetti for the last 30 minutes. And I've got about 17 minutes to put all of this together right now. So I've got to chop a green bell pepper, 1 sweet onion, set that aside with some minced garlic. I've got 8 ounces of spaghetti noodles right here. I've got a can of petite diced tomatoes, a can of tomato sauce. Shh. I apologize for the boys. And then I've got some seasonings right here. So I've got 2 tablespoons of chili powder, a tablespoon and a half cumin, 1 teaspoon of kosher salt, and a teaspoon of oregano. In this dish right here, I have the 3 tablespoons of Worcestershire. Anybody else have anxiety over pronouncing that? Because I do every single day of my life. With a couple of dashes of your favorite hot sauce. I just use what I have in the fridge. It's not actually my favorite, but it's what I've got. Here you're supposed to have 2 cups of pinto beans, but I goofed up. I thought 1 can would be enough. It's actually 2 cans. So I had a can of white beans that I subbed out instead, and then a cup and a half of corn. This was 1 can of corn. So you're gonna want 2 cans of pinto beans and a can of corn. Or if you wanna use frozen, fresh, however you wanna do that. I like to do what's easiest, so that's why I picked canned and pre-minced garlic. So I'm gonna chop this up, and then I'm gonna go ahead and get the turkey browning while I'm chopping this up, and then once it's kind of browned, we're gonna add the pepper, the onion, and the garlic to that, and I will be moving y'all to a different location hopefully, so you can keep an eye on that as well. Step is to allow the chili part to simmer while you get the noodles cooking. So I have my noodles waiting right here, salt waiting to go in there, and while I'm playing the waiting game with that, I'm going to make my yogurt for this week. So what I like to do is either get non-fat Greek yogurt, which is 0 points. They didn't have any in the great value this week, so I'm going to spend points on yogurt, and that's fine because it's a healthy fat and that's something that's worth it to me. So I picked up this light vanilla non-fat yogurt. This is 3 smart points for a half a cup. I'm gonna mix it with the Jell-O. This week I chose the white chocolate, and it's a sugar-free, fat-free variety. It's 3 smart points for this whole package. So whenever you get done, whenever everything's all said and done, these portions for a half a cup, it's gonna be the 3 smart points for the Jell-O. I mean for the yogurt alone. So I like to take this to work, and I'll eat it with my fruit. Sometimes I'll take things like graham crackers or the brownie brittle and things like that to kind of jazz it up a little bit. So without further ado, let's get this yogurt made. So there you have it, my own. This is way cheaper than buying the Light and Fit yogurt like I had been doing. Those are 2 smart points each. This is an extra point, but it's worth it to save a little money. Am I right or am I right? So, white chocolate, vanilla yogurt to go with my fruit for the week. And real quick, this is my yogurt from last week. Last week I did the light Greek vanilla, and I want to say that this one was 2 points for half a cup. I would have to double check, but the Greek vanilla is also an option. Okay, so the next part of the chili cheese spaghetti bake is I've got my 8 ounces of cooked spaghetti noodles. And that goes into my already pre-sprayed pan. I hope this isn't too foggy. So that's gonna just kind of go right here, just like so. And then back over to the stove. So back at the stove, we kind of just stir things up a little bit. It's been simmering for a nice 10-15 minutes now. And now we're gonna add our light sour cream just right into the skillet. So it's a half a cup of sour cream, which is exactly what I have left in the container. Stir that straight in here. Alright, so that's all stirred in there, and we're going to add it on top of the noodles, and then top the noodles with some cheese, and then we're going to cover it with tin foil and put it in the oven. And my chicken and rice is actually about to come out of the oven, so I'll show you that in just a second as well. Dish that I'm working on is a spin-off of LiteCravings macaroni and cheese. A couple of weeks ago she posted how she spiced up her own macaroni and cheese by making it a taco mac and cheese, and I am a Tex-Mex queen, so I'm here for it, trying that out this week. This is one of the recipes that I'm having to double, and so essentially what she said was that you make the macaroni and cheese like normal, you just add ground turkey to it that's seasoned with taco meat. So I have 2 pounds of ground beef right here, 2 packets of taco seasoning. I'm just waiting for my large pan to heat up a little bit more, and I'm gonna ground that up. And then after that, while that's browning, I'm gonna work on getting the rest of my ingredients together. So that way it's ready to go. So this macaroni is almost done. I just need to chop up the chicken that I cooked earlier and toss it with some barbecue sauce, and then that's going in there to make barbecue chicken macaroni and cheese. Very inventive, I know. Over here, I've started working on my donuts because these are going to take a good amount of time, and it's a lot of like active, just moving stuff in and out of the oven. So I'm going to go ahead and get it started. In here, I have 1 1/4 cup of Kodiak cakes, a 1/4 cup of sugar, a teaspoon of baking powder, 1/2 teaspoon of salt. I'm gonna whisk all that together, and then in this cup I have a 1/2 cup of milk, an egg, a teaspoon of vanilla extract, and instead of using oil or butter like the original recipe, I'm using 2 tablespoons of unsweetened applesauce right there. So I'm gonna mix this, mix that, combine this into here. And then I'm gonna add some fresh blueberries to make blueberry donuts. So I'm really hoping that this recipe turns out. I'm kind of basing it off of an actual recipe, kind of winging it. So we'll see how these turn. chicken wasn't actually ready, so I just threw it back in to finish cooking with the donuts. In the meantime, I'm gonna go ahead and start portioning some of these up. The chicken and rice, it's 6 portions, so whenever I have something like this, I just kind of basically guesstimate. I mean, you could measure it out if you want to, but I mean, old me would have probably eaten half this pan. As long as I'm doing better than old me, that's really what matters in my mind. So we're going to kind of portion these out a little bit. And just kind of scoop it up to the best of our ability. And I'm going to do that for the whole pan. So that's how I pretty much portion things like this. And like I said, if you really wanted to get technical with it and start measuring it out and weighing it, you could totally do that, no problem. For me, this is just, it's easier, you know? Under the sun. For this donut batter, I did the same thing, but instead of adding blueberries, I added some mini semi-sweet chocolate chips. And that makes each of these donuts 4 smart points instead of 3. But once again, these are protein donuts because they are made with the Kodiak mix, so they'll be a little bit more filling than your average, you know, Krispy Kreme donut. So for me, it's 100% worth it. I'm just kind of scooping these in. You don't want to overfill your donut pan, pretty much like halfway, 3/4 of a way sort of deal. This original recipe was supposed to make 10 donuts. Out of the last one, I got 8 donuts. So, as always, create your own recipe in the DubDub app and make sure that your products might come up with different points than mine. You might get different serving amounts. There are tons of reasons why recipe point values can change from person to person. For instance, this one, it looks like we're only going to get 6 donuts out of it. That's okay. Might make the point values go up on it, but still 100% worth it. And so over here, I took my chopped up chicken and some of the sugar-free G. Hughes barbecue sauce, and I'm just letting it kind of simmer up together. And once it's thickened up and coated and all that good stuff, I'll add it into this macaroni, and we'll have barbecue macaroni, barbecue chicken, and macaroni and cheese. You could totally make this a one-pot meal if you wanted. I just think this is a little bit more thorough. Okay, so I waited and the hot sauce thickened up a little bit and the macaroni had hardened a little bit since it had been sitting there for a hot minute. So I just threw that pot over here to heat up a little bit, put the chicken in with the barbecue sauce, and as you can see, like that barbecue sauce is now gone all throughout this deliciousness. So I'm about to portion this up. You get 8 servings out of this total, and each serving is going to be about a cup worth of macaroni. And it's going to be very filling, and I think I put like 2 pounds of chicken in here for the whole thing. You could certainly add more. You could add broccoli to this. You could add peas. You could add really a good bit of different vegetables in here to hide them. And if you wanted a little bit more of a barbecue taste, you could of course add a little bit more of this. I personally usually have, like, I top it with this after I heat it up. So just to give it that nice little with the barbecue flavor. Yep. I'm gonna portion these up, let it cool down, and then off into the fridge they'll go.